My name is Penny Jones, and I was 29 years old when I learned that silence can be louder than shouting. I was loading the dishwasher when Richard Collins, my boyfriend of 18 months, said it casually, almost proudly, like he was announcing a new streaming subscription. I invited Tina Anderson to move in with us. She needs a place, and you have the space. I froze with a plate halfway to the rack. Tuesday night, 8:43 p.m. The hum of the dishwasher, the clink of ceramic. Tina Anderson, his ex-girlfriend from college, the one he swore was basically family now, the one whose name had started popping up on his phone more and more over the last few months, the one who still called him E, who still sent late-night memes, who still somehow always needed him. I turned slowly and looked at him. Interesting, I said. Richard didn't hear the warning in my voice. He never did when he didn't want to. Yeah, he continued, leaning against the counter. Her lease fell through. Rent's insane right now. It's just the spare room. You don't even use it. I placed the plate down carefully. Too carefully. You told her yes, I said, before asking me. He laughed, actually laughed like I'd made a joke. I'm telling you now, she's moving in Saturday. It'll be fine, Penny. 3 months max. 3 months. That was the number people used when they wanted something to feel temporary enough not to respect. I dried my hands slowly, watching him. Really watching him. He wasn't nervous. He wasn't apologetic. He was relieved, like a decision he'd already made was now officially off his conscience. You're not going to be weird about this, right? He asked. She's just a friend. Of course, I said calmly. Not weird at all. Relief bloomed across his face. I knew you'd get it, he said, kissing my cheek. You're the best. Then he walked into the bathroom to shower. I stood there alone in the kitchen, the apartment suddenly feeling smaller, like the walls had leaned in to hear my answer. I pulled out my phone and texted my landlord. Penny, hey, Greg. I'm giving my 60-day notice. I'll be moving out when the lease ends. Let me know what you need from me. He replied in under 5 minutes. Greg. Sorry to lose you. You've been a great tenant. I'll start showings in a few weeks. Want to be present. Penny, no need. Whatever works. I leaned against the counter and exhaled. Richard didn't hear that breath. He didn't know it was the sound of the relationship quietly ending. I opened a rental app and started scrolling. 1 bedrooms, top floors, places with light, silence, doors that closed. By the time Richard came out of the shower towel around his waist, I'd saved 4 listings. Saturday arrived right on time. Tina showed up at 11:00 a.m. with a U-Haul and a smile that was just a little too familiar. I helped her carry boxes like nothing was wrong. Richard kept giving me grateful looks like I'd passed some kind of test. Thanks for being cool about this, Tina said, dropping a box in the spare room. Temporary situation, I said lightly. Oh yeah, she replied. Just until I get back on my feet. Amber flags everywhere. We ate lunch together. She sat between us on the couch, angled toward Richard, laughing at inside jokes I didn't recognize. Interesting. That word kept echoing in my head. I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was watching, and I was already gone. The first week after Tina Anderson moved in, everything was framed as temporary. That word kept getting repeated, temporary, as if saying it often enough would stop it from embedding itself into every corner of my apartment. Tina's gym bag appeared by the front door on Monday, slumped there like it had always belonged. By Tuesday, her protein powder had claimed half the kitchen counter. By Wednesday, there were long strands of her hair in the shower drain and flecks of makeup powder dusting the sink. I stared at the bathroom mirror, that night toothbrush frozen halfway to my mouth, and felt something unfamiliar settle into my chest. Displacement. Hey, I said later that evening, keeping my tone deliberately neutral. Can you ask Tina to clean up after herself? Just basic stuff. Hair in the sink counters, that kind of thing. Richard Collins didn't look up from his phone. She's going through a lot right now, he said. Her whole life just kind of collapsed. I'm not asking her to reorganize her life, I replied. I'm asking her to wipe the sink. He sighed, the exaggerated kind meant to signal I was being unreasonable. You're being kind of controlling, Penny. The word hit harder than I expected. Controlling, I repeated, for wanting someone to clean their own hair out of my sink. Our sink, he corrected automatically. I held his gaze for a second longer than necessary. Check the lease, I said. He went quiet. The second week, the invasion escalated. I came home from work on Tuesday at 6 p.m. to find 4 people I didn't recognize sprawled across my living room. Beer bottles on the coffee table. My coffee table. My PlayStation controllers in unfamiliar hands. Hey, Tina called from the kitchen. Hope you don't mind. Just a few friends over. It was a Tuesday. I had work at 8 the next morning. How long are you all staying? I asked, forcing a smile. Not late, one of them said. Midnight, maybe. They stayed until 2 a.m. When I mentioned it to Richard the next morning, exhaustion sharpening every word, he shook his head. You can't expect her to just sit in her room all the time, he said. She's allowed to have a social life. In my apartment. In our apartment, he corrected again, firmer this time. Something in his tone dared me to argue. I didn't. I just nodded and filed it away. By the third week, I stopped eating in the kitchen. I came home Thursday night to find my leftovers gone. The salmon I'd bought specifically for dinner. The rice I'd meal prepped, the vegetables I'd chopped that morning. Tina was on the couch, scrolling through her phone. Oh, she said. Was that yours? Sorry. I was starving after the gym. That was dinner, I replied. She shrugged. There's probably a pizza place nearby. When Richard walked in, I explained calmly. He sighed again. Always the sigh. It's food, he said. Don't make it a thing. I made that food this morning, I said. For tonight. And she ate it by mistake, he replied. Let it go. So I did. I ordered pizza. Ate alone in my bedroom. Laptop open on my knees. Rental listings glowing in the dark. The real shift came during the fourth week. I left work early on Wednesday with a migraine vision, blurred head pounding. I unlocked the door at 2 p.m, expecting quiet. Instead, I found Richard and Tina on the couch. Her legs were draped across his lap. His hand rested casually on her thigh. They were laughing at something on her phone, heads tilted toward each other in a way that was far too practiced. They jumped when they saw me. Penny, you're home early, Richard said. Migraine, I replied. Tina stood up too fast. I should, make some calls. Job stuff. She disappeared into the spare room. Richard stepped toward me, leaning in for a kiss. I turned my head. You okay? He asked, frowning. I'm fine, I said. You seem upset. Do I replied evenly. It's probably just my head. I walked past him and closed the bedroom door behind me. That night, my phone buzzed with a text from Greg, my landlord. Greg. Got someone interested in the place. Want to show it Saturday at noon. Penny, go ahead. Saturday morning, I suggested brunch. My treat, I added casually. Richard's eyes lit up. Tina invited herself. We took our time, long brunch wandering shops across town. I checked my watch more than once. 11:50? Perfect. When we got back around 1:30, Richard stopped short in the hallway. Why is there a lockbox on our door? He asked. Tina peered through the window. And, is that a for rent sign? I unlocked the door and stepped inside. The show had begun. The silence inside the apartment felt staged, like the aftermath of something important that had already happened without us. Richard pulled out his phone immediately, frowning. I'm going to text Greg. This has to be a mistake. I didn't stop him. I set my keys down, took off my shoes, and waited. Tina hovered near the door, arms folded tightly across her chest. She looked around, eyes darting from the walls to the furniture, to the empty kitchen counter, like she was trying to memorize a place she might lose. Richard's face shifted as he read the response. Confusion first, then color draining from his cheeks. You gave notice, he said slowly. Yes. When? 4 weeks ago. He looked up at me like I'd just spoken another language. You're moving out, he said. You're leaving. And you didn't tell me. I didn't think I needed permission, I replied calmly. It's my lease. Tina stepped forward, eyes wide. Wait, what does that mean? It means the lease ends in 5 weeks, I said. And I won't be here after that. Richard's voice tightened. Where are we supposed to go? I shrugged. I don't know. You've got 5 weeks to figure it out. That's not enough time, he snapped. It was enough time for you to move Tina in without asking me. Tina glanced between us, clearly realizing she'd been standing on borrowed ground the entire time. This is different, Richard said. We live here together. No, I corrected softly. I live here. You stay here. He went quiet. Tina grabbed her phone. I'll call Greg. She put it on speaker. Hi, she said quickly. This is Tina. There's been a misunderstanding about the apartment. There hasn't, Greg replied evenly. Penny gave proper notice. I already have new tenants signed. But I live here, Tina insisted. I have rights. You're not on the lease, Greg said. Legally, you don't have a claim. Her face crumpled as she hung up. Richard turned to me, disbelief hardening into anger. I can't believe you did this. I met his gaze without flinching. Funny, I said. I thought the exact same thing when you told me Tina was moving in. That's not the same. It's exactly the same. You made a unilateral decision about my space. I made one about my lease. Tina tried to step in. Look, maybe we can all just calm down. I'm extremely calm, I said. I found a new place. I gave proper notice. I'm leaving. Richard's voice rose. Where am I supposed to live? Anywhere else, I replied. Just not with me. That night, the apartment felt like a waiting room. The next week was chaos. Richard made call after call. Tina scrolled listings obsessively. Reality hit hard. Rent prices, deposits, credit checks. Their savings were thin. Their options thinner. On Monday morning, Richard cornered me before work. "You need to co-sign for us," he said. I actually laughed. "You want me to co-sign an apartment for you and your ex-girlfriend? We can't get approved without help," he said. "You have good credit, stable income." "No," I replied, "absolutely not." His jaw tightened. "So you're just going to watch us become homeless?" "You're not homeless," I said evenly. "You're unprepared." By Wednesday, I overheard Tina crying in the spare room. Richard's voice drifted through the wall. "She's being unreasonable," he murmured. "You deserve better." I stared at the ceiling, strangely calm. The realization had already settled in. We hadn't broken up that night. We'd broken up the moment he decided her comfort mattered more than my consent. And I wasn't fixing what I didn't break. By the time the 4th week ended, desperation had replaced denial. The apartment had become a rotating stage of phone calls, slammed doors, whispered arguments, and increasingly hostile silences. Richard's confidence was gone. Tina's optimism had collapsed into frantic energy. Every conversation circled back to the same problem they couldn't outrun: money. Most places wanted first month, last month, and a security deposit, nearly $7,000 up front. Together, they barely scraped $1,200. They tried applying as roommates, rejected within days, sometimes hours. And then came the pressure campaign. It started with friends. On Tuesday afternoon, my phone buzzed with a message from Samantha Lee, one of Tina's closest friends. "What you're doing is cruel. You know they can't afford anything. You're ruining her life." I replied once. "She ruined our relationship. I'm just not cleaning it up." Then I blocked her. Wednesday night, I came home to find Marilyn Anderson, Tina's mother, sitting stiffly on my couch. "We need to talk," she said. I didn't sit. "You're abandoning my daughter?" Marilyn continued. "Forcing her out of her home after everything she's done for you." With respect, I replied calmly. "Tina moved into my apartment without my consent. I'm removing myself from the situation." "She was helping someone in need," Marilyn snapped. "And I'm helping myself," I said. "That's also valid." Marilyn stood face flushed. "You'll regret this." "So will she," I replied, "but for different reasons." Friday night, Richard tried his last angle. He found me in the kitchen making dinner, voice low, conciliatory. "What if we just reset?" he asked. "I'll pay real rent. We can make it work." "I'm moving out in 3 weeks," I said without turning around. "That's cold." "No," I replied. "It's consequences." Saturday morning, Richard's father called. "We can't take her in," he said bluntly. "You're forcing her onto the street." "She has parents," I replied. "She has options." He hung up on me. Sunday, Tina texted, "Can we talk just 10 minutes? We met at a cafe." She looked exhausted, hollowed out. "I made a mistake," she said immediately. "Inviting Richard here, I should have asked you first." "You should have." "I'll make him leave," she pleaded. "Please don't move out." I shook my head. "It's not about him anymore. It's about what that decision showed me." She cried. I left. 2 weeks left. Monday evening, I came home to find my mail opened on the counter. "Who opened my mail?" I asked sharply. Tina stepped out of the spare room. "I did." "Why?" "I needed your credit information," she said. "Some places let you use a guarantor." "You committed a federal crime," I said quietly. She laughed nervously. "Don't be dramatic." "Get out," I said. "Tonight." She didn't believe me. I pulled out my phone. She left. The next day, she came back with her parents to collect her things. The apartment felt larger immediately, calmer. But it wasn't over yet. The quiet didn't last. 2 days after Tina left, my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. "Is this Penny Jones?" a woman asked. "Yes." "This is Rachel Moore, property manager at Riverside Apartments. Tina Anderson listed you as her current landlord." I almost laughed. "I'm not her landlord," I said. "I'm her ex-boyfriend's former girlfriend. She was living in my apartment without being on the lease." There was a pause. "So you can't verify her rental history?" "I can verify she's never paid rent to me," I replied, "if that helps." "It doesn't," Rachel said dryly. "Thank you for your time." Tina called 30 minutes later, screaming. "You sabotaged my application." I told the truth, I said. "Those are different things." "You're destroying my life." "No," I replied calmly. "I'm not fixing it." That same week, Greg called. "Just a heads up," he said. "Tina's been calling me nonstop trying to take over your lease. She doesn't qualify." "Thanks for telling me." Friday night, I heard voices in the hallway outside my door. "Tina, Richard, 2 friends." "I think we can claim squatters' rights," one of them whispered loudly. I opened the door. "Squatters' rights require years," I said evenly. "You have 6 days. Try it. I'll call the police." They scattered. Sunday, Tina showed up with a lawyer. I was served papers in my own living room. An emergency motion claiming I was illegally forcing her from her home. I called Theo Ramirez, a paralegal friend. "This is nonsense," he said after reading it. "She has no standing." He was right. Monday morning, the judge barely looked at her paperwork. "Are you on the lease?" the judge asked Tina. "No." "Do you have proof of rent payment?" "No." Motion denied. Outside the courthouse, her mother screamed at me. "You're heartless, the kind with boundaries," I replied. Moving day came fast. The movers took everything that was mine, which was almost everything. Furniture, electronics, kitchenware. Tina stood in the empty apartment stunned. "What am I supposed to sit on?" she asked weakly. "Not my problem," I said. Richard stared at the empty living room, speechless. I did a final walkthrough with Greg. "Best tenant I've ever had," he said. "Full deposit refunded." I smiled. As I walked to my car, Tina followed. "Where are you going?" she asked. "A better place," I replied. "For $200 more." Her face fell. "You could have afforded that the whole time." "Yes." "Then why stay?" "Because you didn't make it unbearable until you did." I got in my car. She didn't follow. The fallout was exactly what I expected. Tina moved back in with her parents within a week. They had rules, strict ones. No overnight guests, no extended visitors, which meant Richard Collins wasn't welcome. Not even on weekends, not even just to talk. Tina lasted 3 weeks before her parents started charging her rent. $800 a month. Richard didn't last nearly as long anywhere. He bounced between friends' couches for about 6 weeks before his parents wired him enough money to move back home. 31 years old, back in his childhood bedroom, explaining to anyone who'd listen how everything just fell apart, Tina tried to keep the relationship alive long distance. Late-night calls, long texts, promises they'd figure it out once things stabilized. Richard ghosted her after 2 months. I found out through mutual friends. I didn't ask. I had already moved on literally and emotionally. My new apartment was everything the old one wasn't. 1 bedroom, top floor, huge windows, quiet, light, no uninvited guests, no explanations owed. I bought furniture I actually liked, set things up exactly the way I wanted them. For the first time in months, I slept without tension in my chest. About 2 months after moving, I started seeing someone. Daniel Brooks, an architect. He had his own place, his own routines, his own boundaries. On our 3rd date, I told him the whole story, not dramatically, not defensively, just facts. He listened, then shook his head. "She invited her ex-girlfriend to live with you without asking," he said. "And somehow you were the villain." "According to some people," I replied. "People really think actions don't have consequences," he said. "They do," I said, eventually. 6 months later, I ran into Tina at a restaurant. She was the hostess. "Hey," she said quietly. "Hey." She looked smaller somehow, tired, real. "You look good," she said. "Thanks, you too." An awkward pause. "I'm sorry," she said finally. "For all of it. I was selfish. I just assumed you'd be okay with it." "I wasn't," I said. She nodded. "I know." "Do you think we could ever—" "No," I said gently. "Not even a little." She swallowed. "Right, of course." She seated my party. Daniel raised an eyebrow once we sat down. "Ex?" he asked. "The one who invited the other ex to move in," I replied. He winced. "Yikes." "Yeah," I said. "Dodged a bullet." About 8 months after moving out, Greg texted me. "Just so you know, Tina tried to get your forwarding address. I didn't give it to her. Also the tenants who replaced you, absolute nightmares. You're still my best reference." I smiled and locked my phone. The revenge, if anyone wanted to call it that, wasn't elaborate. No schemes, no humiliation, no shouting. Just consequences. She made a decision that showed me exactly where I ranked in her priorities below someone else's comfort. I made a decision to remove myself legally, cleanly, and completely. No arguments left, no angles to work, just reality meeting entitlement. And reality won. I'm still in my apartment, still with Daniel,